What's up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make my personal favorite dish out of fresh venison. If you do this, you are going to be in for a real treat. Let's jump into it. What a roller coaster of a season it has been. Came in downwind and actually winded me. Welcome back to the channel, guys. If you're new to the channel, make sure that you like the video, make sure that you drop a comment, and make sure that you subscribe so you can stay up to date with all of my shenanigans. So today, we're actually going to be making my favorite venison dish, and I'm not sure for the exact name of it. It could be considered like a stroganoff, it could be considered like a beef tips and noodles kind of dish, but I don't know exactly what to call it, but we're going to make it. And it's very, very filling. It tastes amazing. If you like, you know, meat and gravy and mushrooms and onions and all that kind of good stuff, you were going to absolutely fall in love with this dish. I was actually cutting up a deer that I was able to harvest a couple days ago with my muzzleloader. I'm going to link that video right here. And when I was cutting it up, I got the craving to make this, and so we're actually using fresh backstrap, and I'm going to show you guys what you need. We're going to jump into this. All right, guys, so these are the ingredients we're working with today. We got about half of an onion. We got a decent chunk, probably half of one of the backstraps on this deer, and we've got it sliced pretty thin. And it's going to be tender and cooked through real quick. And then we got a roughly cubed mushroom. For the gravy or the sauce on this dish, we got a can of Campbell's cream of mushroom with garlic. That is the secret there. You want the cream of mushroom with roasted garlic. We're going to put a splash of Worcestershire on it, if that's how you say it. And then beef broth. And none of this is exact. I basically just kind of mix it together until I get the desired texture. And we're going to eat this over noodles, or you can mix the noodles in. To get this started, I'm going to put some olive oil in a pan. And we're not going to put a terrible amount in there, but we're going to do enough to put a quick sear on our meat. And then we're going to put some water in a pot and start both of them heating up. The water, I'm just going to turn on to high because I want it to boil quick and it's only boiling noodles. This, I'm going to turn to a pretty high heat as well, just to get the meat cooked, and then we'll turn it down to more of a simmer once the meat has a quick sear on it. Our pan is starting to heat up, so we're going to go ahead and get our meat in there. And that's exactly the sound that you want to hear right there. I also like to get my onions in there as soon as possible because they take a while to cook through. And we're just going to give that a good sear. Alright, you can see that some of the meat is starting to get a little bit of a crust, but most of the pink is gone. In fact, almost all the pink is gone. It's at this point I like to add the mushrooms. And we're getting really close to adding the sauce, but I like to let those mushrooms actually cook and sweat for just a little bit before introducing what's ultimately going to end up as like the gravy in this dish. I really, really, really like mushrooms too, so I add a pile of them, but you can kind of do this to taste. If you like less onions, if you want more onions, if you want bell peppers in there or something crazy like that, you can do that. I use a very decent amount of onions and mushrooms though, because I really like both. Alright, so at the point those mushrooms start to brown and sweat a little bit, I'm going to turn my heat down to more of a medium heat. I'm instantly going to add, and it's going to steam pretty good, just a little bit of beef broth, probably enough to coat the pan in like a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch. I just basically want to cover the bottom of the pan with that. Not a lot at all. The more you put in that, the thinner your gravy is going to be, and you kind of got to feel that out. You can add more later, but it's hard to take it away, so I start off with a small amount. I then immediately introduce the cream of mushroom soup with garlic in there. And then I'm going to put a healthy sized splash of Worcestershire, probably about 2 teaspoons or something like that. And then I'm basically just going to stir this in until it has the consistency of a gravy. And at that point, I'm going to simmer it until those onions are completely translucent, until they're cooked all the way through and there's no crunch to them. That's probably going to take about 15 minutes or so. In the meantime, my water's boiling, so I'm going to add my noodles to that. Now the noodles, me personally, I'm going to do those al dente, which means in English, almost done but not quite. I do that because I like to finish off this dish by introducing the noodles into it and letting them finish cooking in that gravy. To me, they absorb a little bit more of the flavor, and instead of being like something that you eat on top of the noodles are actually incorporated into the dish. Just my take on it though. If you want to get fancy with this, you can actually make homemade noodles with flour and some other stuff, or you can buy fancier noodles from the store, like the store I was just at. There's some like Amish egg noodles that look like they would have been really good. But just for time's sake and the video's sake, I went with a standard egg noodle. You can't go wrong with an egg noodle, but there's fancier or more like home-cooked versions available. I almost forgot to mention, I like to add a little bit of black pepper to this, and that is to taste. You don't have to do it. You can put in as little or as much as you want, and depending on the ingredients that are in here already have a pretty high amount of sodium, so I don't salt this until afterwards, and if I feel like it needs a little salt, I'll put some, but most of the time you're not going to. The beef broth, the Worcestershire, and the cream of garlic soup have a pretty decent amount of salt already in it, so I don't think it's necessary. Our noodles are almost done, so I'm going to pull them off at this point and strain them, and we're going to add them straight to the gravy. And we're just going to stir those in and probably let it simmer for another 10 minutes or so. I've probably got 30 minutes or so on the whole process so far. Alright, I've been smelling this stuff for 15 minutes and I am excited to jump in and see what it tastes like. If you like Southern style comfort food, this is probably going to become your favorite venison dish. And it's so simple. It's noodles, it's a brown gravy, it's little tender strips of venison. I use backstrap on this one, but you could use any good venison roast cut against the grain. And we're gonna get a little bite of everything. We're gonna get a piece of venison, we're gonna make sure we got a little bit of mushroom in there, and we're gonna get a couple of big dollops of egg noodles, and we're gonna see what this thing's all about. Oh my gosh, that looks good. Oh man, stand by what I said earlier. This is probably, right now, because it changes from time to time, this is probably my favorite way to eat venison. Take this recipe and make it your own. If you want to add some additional vegetables in there, it'd probably be good with some carrots that were cooked like all the way through, maybe some peas, possibly even green beans. Take this thing and make it your own. That's the beauty about cooking for yourself and harvesting your own game. But if you haven't tried something like this, make sure that you do. It's really, really good, and I guarantee this is going to be a favorite of yours. If you guys like what I'm doing, make sure that you like the video, make sure you drop a comment, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate you guys watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.